Hi. So when we left off with Ghost, we were in chapter 5. Ghost is having a rough day at school. He's cut his shoes. He wanted them to be like lighter so that he could go to practice, but they kind of look a little silly and he's getting picked on at school. So he's skipping for the first time ever. And he ran and ran and ran. And now he is right outside a sporting goods store. And he says, that's when the best idea ever popped into my head. Welcome to Everything Sports, a lady greeted me at the door. Her name tag said Tia. She was wearing sweatpants and a basketball jersey with the store's name on the front. She didn't really look like she played sports, though. Patty looked like an athlete, but this girl, not so much. I mean, she had on makeup and her hair all done. Let me know if you need some help finding anything, she said. I hummed awkwardly. I tried not to look her directly in the face just because I didn't want her to say nothing about me not being in school. Plus, I felt weird about being the only person in the store. Y'all got track stuff? I asked. Then trying to be more clear, I added, like shoes? Yep, right over here, the girl said. Tia said, leading the way. The track shoes at Everything Sports were amazing. Neon green and gold, shiny black and electric blue. They looked like they were full of power and speed, just like wearing them could get me closer to Usain Bolt's world record. They were just like Lou's. I picked up one of the shoes, a silver one, flipped it over to see the price, then put it right back down. Yikes. Then I looked at a mean, bright orange one, looked at the bottom. You want to try any of them on? Tia said. She'd been standing behind me the whole time. I put the orange shoe back. They were even more. And turned to face her. The silver ones, I guess? Size, she said. I don't really know. I think I'm an 8, maybe 8.5. The truth is, I had no idea what size shoe I wore. I couldn't remember. When me and Ma went to go get my last pair, the ones I was wearing, the ones that now had their heads chopped off, the reason we went in the first place was because the sneakers I had were too small. I think I was a 7 then, and we had to bump up to an 8, but I just couldn't remember. Tia eyeballed my feet, and even though I knew she was trying to guess my shoe size, I couldn't help but think that she was looking at my chewed-up dogs like, what the? I was hearing Shamika's booming laugh ringing in my ears again when Tia chirped, I'll bring down a 9, too. I took a seat on one of the benches and looked around at the boxing gloves and soccer balls and every other kind of sports equipment. There was a man working at the store, too. He was standing next to a rack of jump ropes, tossing a basketball back and forth from hand to hand, occasionally spinning it on one finger, but only for like half a second. He probably wasn't no athlete either. A few moments later, Tia came back with 2 boxes. Okay, she said, setting the boxes down on the floor in front of me. I got an 8 and a 9, but no 8.5. She popped the top of the first box. Let's start with the 9. She pulled the silver shoes from the box and set them down in front of me. I untied my frayed shoestrings. I had to cut them too, and slipped my sneakers off, tucking them under the bench. 2 more people walked into the store. Tia and the other guy greeted them. Then Tia encouraged me to put the shoes on. Walk around, jump up and down, or whatever. Take your time and get a feel for them. I put the shoes on. The 9s fit perfectly. After I laced them tight, I stood up and bounced up and down a few times, just like Tia suggested. They felt amazing, almost like I didn't have shoes on at all. I stepped in front of the mirror to check myself out. Man, it looked like I was wearing spaceships on my feet, or silver bullets. How are they? Tia came back to check on me. They're good, I said, still staring at my feet in the mirror. I felt like I had some kind of power in them, and that power was pumping into me, the kind of power that shut down all the laughter. I repeated now, looking at her. They're good. Perfect. Tia nodded and went to talk to one of the other customers. And that was when I made my move. At first, I wasn't going to do it. I mean, when I went into the store, it was a thought, but only a thought. Not even like a real thought either. Because I knew that I could just ask my mother to get them for me, and she would because she felt like this track thing was going to keep me out of trouble. But when I saw how much they cost, I just couldn't ask her for them. I just couldn't. But these were like shut-up shoes. Nobody would have nothing to say about me with these on my feet, and that's when that thought became real. I took the shoes off, and when Tia moved to the other side of the store to show the baseball gloves to one of the other people who came in, the other guy who worked there and had run in the back to grab something for the other customers, I slipped the silver bullets in my backpack. I put the top back on the box and put the empty shoe box under the other one, the 8s, and then I put my sneakers back on as fast as I could. I slung my bag on my shoulders and headed for the door. Then as I got there, Tia called out, No good? I was stunned, but shook it off and played it cool. They're amazing. I love them, I said, trying not to look her in the face. Maybe I'll come back for them later. I pushed the door open. As soon as I stepped through the doorway, I took off. I pounded down the street, waiting to hear someone yell, "Hey, kid," or "Thief, stop that kid," just like they do on TV, but no one did. At least I didn't hear none of that. The streets can be noisy with cars and people bumbling around, not to mention when you're running scared like I was. The only sound you really hear is the sound of your own heart banging like a scary soundtrack to the chase. I turned the corner, still looking over my shoulder for the police, but I stopped running because if a cop saw a random kid running in the street in the middle of the day, it might be the sign that a kid's up to no good. And I was that kid, so I tried to throw off any potential cops by walking. But that felt cocky. So I did a weird, "don't mind me, I'm just doing my old lady power walk" thing. I knew it was only a matter of time before the police came out of nowhere, charging at me, ready to take me to jail, all because I wanted some dope shoes to be a better runner, to be a better basketball player, be better so nobody could say anything. The cops never came. I didn't stop, though, too paranoid. I almost jumped into a trash can when a police car with his sirens zipped past me. But he wasn't looking for me. Nope, he was looking for a real criminal, and I wasn't a real criminal, one with a real rap sheet. Of course, after about 5 or 6 minutes of not quite running, not quite walking, I had to stop and figure out exactly where I was going. Didn't want to head home. I mean, I could have. It would have been safe, but I didn't want to go there. When I'm there by myself for too long, the house becomes some kind of time machine, teleporting me back 3 or 4 years, listening to my mom and dad fight and scream every night, taking me back to all the bad stuff. So that was out. There was only one place I thought was safe enough to go, Mr. Charles's store. When I got there, Mr. Charles was talking to a delivery man. He signed a piece of paper, one of those 3-in-1 papers, and a guy in dusty blue overalls ripped the pink one from the bottom and gave it to Mr. Charles. Then the guy grabbed his metal carrier thing on wheels and rolled out. "Castle?" Mr. Charles said in a loud voice. He folded the pink piece of paper in half and tucked it somewhere behind the counter. He turned the TV down, then checked his watch, clearly confused about why I wasn't in school. But instead of just asking the usual, "let me guess, sunflower seeds," he snatched a bag off the wall. I wasn't even really thinking about sunflower seeds, but I did skip lunch, and since he brought it up, "let me guess, $1, I replied as usual, digging into my pocket for $1. "Nope, $10, Mr. Charles said, pulling the seeds off the back counter. $10, I sniffed. "What do you mean $10? "Well, I mean, sunflower seeds cost you $10 from now on until you tell me why you are not in school." Mr. Charles held his hand out, waiting for me to put the $10 I didn't have in it. Then he shrugged and put the sunflower seeds back up on the hook. "Mr. Charles," I moaned, "are you serious?" "Serious as a heart attack," he said, so predictably that I could have said it for him. And we're going to stop there.